My name is Horacio. I'm 30 years old, and this year taught me two brutal truths. First, cancer doesn't care who you are. Second, sometimes the sickness isn't what grows in your body, but the person you trust with your life. Up until 6 months ago, my life looked ordinary, even steady. I worked logistics for a medical supply company in Indianapolis, good pay, dependable hours, the kind of job nobody praises until something goes wrong. My husband, Liam, 29, was the intellectual in our relationship. He was completing his master's in psychology and working an assistantship that barely covered the car payment on the sporty sedan he insisted he deserved. We lived in a modest apartment, shared bills, shared routines, shared silence in the places we both pretended were comfortable. If anyone had asked me then, I would have said we were fine. Not in love fireworks, not crumbling apart, just fine. Then one Tuesday morning, my doctor came in wearing that face, the soft, rehearsed expression physicians keep for moments when they're about to flip your life like a table. Aura, he said gently, we caught it early. The prognosis is good, but it's cancer. Breast cancer. Early stage. Surgery, chemo, and a plan with percentages that sounded hopeful on paper, but terrifying in my chest. I walked out of the clinic holding a thick folder full of pamphlets no one ever wants to read. The world around me kept spinning normally. People unlocking cars, answering phones, laughing with their kids, while I stood frozen. When my voice finally worked again, I did what any wife would do. I called my husband. He answered on the second ring. Yeah? What's up? He said, distracted. Liam, I whispered. The doctor found something. It's cancer. Early, but I'm going to need surgery and chemo. Silence. Not shock, not fear, just empty silence. Did you hear me? I asked. I heard you, he said. Another pause. I need time to process this. It's a lot. I know it's a lot. Can you come home? I don't want to be alone with this. Another pause. I'm on campus. I have a meeting with my group. Let me figure things out. He didn't come home that night. Around 8, he called to say he was staying at a friend's place. He needed space. He needed to think. He needed to process. Meanwhile, I lay in our bed staring at his empty pillow, the hollow space where he should have been holding me together. By morning, I thought, he's scared. Tomorrow will be better. Tomorrow he'll show up. Tomorrow wasn't better. 2 days after my diagnosis, I sat at our chipped kitchen table reading about chemo side effects until the words blurred. At 2:47 p.m., Liam texted. I still remember the vibration in my hand. I can't do this, Aura. I'm still in love with Chloe and I need to see if there's something there. This whole cancer thing made me realize life's too short to be with someone I'm not passionate about. You're a good person, but you're not her. I need closure. I read it once, twice, 3 times. The words didn't rearrange into a saner version. My husband, the man who vowed to stay in sickness and health, was dumping me by text message because my cancer reminded him he wanted his ex-girlfriend. The logic didn't even make me cry at first. It stunned me into this eerie stillness, like someone had unplugged my emotional wiring. Automatically, I screenshotted it, sent it to my best friend Kevin without context. He called instantly. Aura, no way. Tell me this is some sick prank. I wish, I said, though my own voice sounded distant, like I was narrating a documentary about someone else. I'm coming over right now. He arrived 20 minutes later with takeout and fury in his eyes, the quiet kind that only shows up when someone you love is being torn apart. We sat on my sofa while my phone buzzed with more messages from Liam, all shallow and logistical. We can talk about the apartment later. Hope your treatment goes okay. Wow, Kevin muttered. He hopes your cancer goes okay. How thoughtful. His sarcasm was sharp enough to cut bone. Somewhere between heartbreak, nausea, and numbness, something inside me clicked. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a cold, decisive shift. If Liam wanted life without me so badly, I would give him exactly that. Not rage, not revenge. Just absence. Total, permanent, unmistakable absence. Aura, what are you doing? Kevin asked when he saw me opening a tab for apartment listings in Nashville, my older brother's city. Multitasking, I said. Apparently having cancer clarifies things. He stared. You're serious? Completely, I replied. If Liam thinks he gets closure, he's about to learn what closure actually looks like. That night, for the first time in days, I finally felt something. Not grief, not panic. A plan. I didn't sleep that night. Not because of the diagnosis. Not because of the fear of chemo or surgeries or survival rates. I didn't sleep because I could feel my life splitting open, 2 paths forming beneath my feet. One where I stayed and begged a man who abandoned me during cancer to love me again, and one where I vanished before he even knew I was gone. By morning, the choice didn't just feel obvious, it felt inevitable. The moment I opened Liam's laptop, inevitability turned into certainty. He always kept it on the kitchen counter, lid half open, password taped lazily to the underside because remembering numbers stresses me out. A psychology master's student who couldn't remember 6 digits. That irony wasn't lost on me. Kevin sat across from me, nursing cold coffee, giving me space to breathe in between waves of my life imploding. "You don't have to look," he said gently. But I already was. Facebook was logged in, messages scrolling, notifications blinking. And there she was, Chloe, the ex-girlfriend he said he needed closure with, the one my cancer apparently reminded him he still loved. 4 months of messages. 4 months of, "I miss you so much it hurts," and "Aura doesn't understand me the way you do, and I think I married the wrong person." 4 months of him in my bed, kissing me goodnight, then staying up to plan a future with someone else. The kind of betrayal that doesn't scream. It just sits in your chest, heavy and suffocating. Kevin looked over my shoulder at one of the messages. "She's a good woman, but she's so predictable. Chloe, you make me feel alive. When are you back in town?" 3 weeks ago, the same week I surprised him with tickets to a concert he said he'd always wanted to see. Kevin let out a low whistle. "This is sociopathic," he muttered. I didn't disagree. I screenshotted everything. Every message, every timestamp, every photo. Uploaded backups to a cloud drive he would never guess. Then saved a second backup to another folder labeled innocently as tax forms. I wasn't being dramatic, I was being thorough. Cancer teaches you to prepare for worse cases. When I checked our finances, the picture got clearer. Separate checking accounts, but one shared savings, our emergency fund. $12,000. Money I'd been depositing for 3 years. Money he contributed once, $500 from his parents' gift, and never again. And yet he planned to walk away with Chloe, using stability I paid for as his launchpad. No, I transferred every penny into my personal account. The bank's timer spun for 3 seconds. Done. Then I opened a new bank entirely and moved the money again. 2 layers of separation. 2 layers of safety. Kevin watched silently, his jaw tight. "Tell me you feel something doing this." "I do," I said, clarity. Then came the paperwork. I called our landlord, the man who owned half the building and always fixed things the same day. "Hi," I said quietly. "It's Aura from 4B. I need help. My husband and I are separating." His voice softened. "I'm sorry to hear that. How can I help?" "I need to get my name off the lease, and I want to make sure he doesn't get stuck paying for anything I cancel." "Well, legally, I need both signatures to modify the lease," he said. "But if you pay through the end of next month, I can release you and handle the rest." "I'll do it." "Anything else you need, dear?" I swallowed. "Yes, please don't tell him I called." A quiet pause. "Of course." I paid 2 months' rent on the spot, cheerfully buying myself freedom. Next call, my boss. I used the cancer card without guilt, because for once in my life, it was true. "I need 2 weeks off," I said, "treatment and personal matters." "Take all the time you need," she replied. "We'll support you however we can." Warmth filled my chest, but not the comforting kind, the contrast kind, the kind that shows you who truly has your back when your world falls apart. By 5 p.m., everything was arranged. Money secure, lease handled, time off approved, evidence gathered. All that remained was the leaving. Kevin helped me pack as the sun set, both of us moving around the apartment like ghosts, silent, precise, avoiding the weight of what we were doing. Clothes folded, medical documents stacked, toiletries zipped away, family heirlooms wrapped in towels. I left behind everything that screamed we. Furniture we bought together, kitchen supplies, decor he insisted we needed to look like real adults, wedding gifts, framed photos, things that belonged to a life I no longer lived. When I found my wedding ring sitting casually on the bathroom counter, like he'd taken it off to wash his hands and forgot it, I didn't cry. I didn't even blink. I placed it in an envelope with a note. "Found this. Figured you wouldn't need it anymore. Good luck with the whole closure thing." Around 7 p.m., my phone buzzed again. "Aura, we need to talk about bills. You can't just ignore me. This affects both of us. Act like an adult." An adult. From the man who fled when cancer walked into our marriage. I didn't answer. I kept packing. By 9 p.m., everything I cared about fit into Kevin's SUV. It took 2 hours to pack 4 years of marriage. It shocked me how little of it was truly mine. At 9:20, I placed my key on the kitchen counter, stood in the doorway of the apartment I once believed would be my forever home. I waited for sadness. It didn't come. Nothing came, just a hollow, frightening calm. Kevin drove us through the night to Nashville. 5 hours of passing headlights and quiet breaths. At 3 a.m., my brother Jason opened his apartment door. His eyes widened when he saw me, but he didn't ask questions. He just pulled me into a hug. "Guest room's yours," he said, "for as long as you need it." I nodded. "I won't be here long, just until the next chemo cycle." "Take your time," he said softly. "No one here's going anywhere." I slept 12 hours straight, the first real sleep I'd had in months. When I woke up, I checked my phone, 193 notifications. And I had the strangest thought. Liam must be panicking. Good. I woke up in Nashville feeling both heavy and free, like I'd been dropped into a new world without a map. The morning sun leaked onto the guest room floor in soft bands of gold, and for a moment I forgot everything. Cancer, divorce, Liam, Chloe, all of it. Then I looked at my phone. 193 notifications. Liam's name filled my screen like a disease. "Where are you?" "This isn't funny, Aura. You're being dramatic. Stop ignoring me. We need to discuss bills like adults. You can't run away every time something is difficult. You owe me a conversation after 4 years." I scrolled. His tone shifted with each message. Annoyed, demanding, self-righteous, pleading, aggressive, confused. A whole emotional buffet of manipulation. Kevin peeked into the room with a coffee in hand. "You up?" he asked softly. "Barely," I whispered, my eyes glued to the barrage of messages. He came in, sat beside me, and sighed. Classic Liam. He neglects you when you're dying, but suddenly cares about responsibility the second you disappear. I exhaled sharply through my nose. Not quite a laugh, not quite anger. Just recognition. The kind that stings. Cutting the last strings. I spent the next few hours doing what Liam never took the time to do. Protecting myself. I called my insurance company, telling them I was getting divorced and needed to remove my spouse from my plan. They guided me through the steps. Simple, efficient. Then I asked to remove my name from Liam's car insurance. That stupid sedan he swore was a necessity for his future career. Gone. Deleted. His problem from now on. Next, the joint credit card. The one we'd opened for emergencies. It had a $100 balance. I paid it off. Canceled the entire account. Then I opened Liam's personal credit card statement, the one I'd been paying because his assistantship pay didn't stretch far enough. $1,400. Mostly restaurants, clothes, and impulse buys he swore were for school purposes. I removed myself as an authorized payer. Effective immediately. He could figure it out. He always said he wanted to be independent. Fantastic. Now he could prove it. Calls from the loyalty circus. The phone rang again. Unknown number. I answered. "Aura? It's Amber," said the bright, brittle voice of Liam's best friend's girlfriend. "Liam is freaking out. He says you abandoned him." "I didn't abandon him," I said calmly. "He left me when I got cancer." "That's not fair," she snapped. "He's overwhelmed." "So was I replied. "Difference is, I didn't run off to an ex." "You're really twisting things," she said, voice rising. "He needs support." "Then he should call Chloe," I said, and hung up. Blocked the number. Next came calls from his sister, his mother, a coworker I barely spoke to. "Liam is worried." "Liam can't reach you." "Liam is scared." Funny how none of them checked on me when Liam disappeared for 2 nights after my diagnosis. I blocked them all, one by one, until the world went quiet. A new life, piece by piece. By afternoon, Jason came home from work and found me on the living room floor, surrounded by papers, folders, and my laptop. "You okay?" he asked, standing in the doorway like he was afraid I'd shatter if he walked too quickly. "No," I admitted, "but I'm functional." "That's enough." I told him everything. Liam's text, the affair, the messages, the savings account, the whole rotten structure of my marriage collapsing overnight. Jason listened with that protective, silent fury older brothers get when someone hurts their little sister. Then he said, "I never liked him." "Why didn't you say anything?" I asked. "Because you did." My throat tightened. Not with sadness, with relief. Building a new world from ashes. I found a small apartment in Nashville. Nothing fancy, but clean, safe, and mine. I signed a month-to-month lease, since chemo would make everything uncertain. Kevin drove back down to help move the last of my things from the SUV to the apartment, making jokes the entire time. He pretended he didn't see the bandage on my chest from the biopsy. I pretended I didn't see the worry in his eyes. We both pretended I wasn't terrified. Then Thursday came. Chemo, round 2. I felt like my body was dissolving from the inside, but for the first time I had 4 walls that belonged only to me. a place I could be sick without being abandoned in the same breath. It was the smallest victory I'd ever had, and it tasted like oxygen. The truth hits back home. 2 weeks later, I got a message from a coworker back in Indianapolis. Mike. Hey, Aura. Thought you should know. Liam's been telling everyone you cheated and drained the money from your savings account. He said that's why you left him. People are talking. I stared at the phone for a long time. Then I opened the folder of screenshots, all 400 plus of them. I sent everything to Mike. Share it with whoever believed him. 10 minutes later, holy crap, I'm showing these to the entire department. Want me to loop in HR? Do whatever you want, I replied. I'm done protecting him. Within 24 hours, Liam's victim narrative shattered. People apologized. Coworkers admitted they had judged too quickly. But something about their apologies felt pointless. They believed the easier story, not the true one. I didn't respond. And then came Chloe's consequences. The military takes infidelity more seriously than society does, especially when there's proof. Timestamps, screenshots, months of messages documenting an emotional affair, and then a physical one. I printed everything, organized it chronologically, highlighted dates matching Liam's excuses and Chloe's visits. I mailed it in a neat, professional packet to her commanding officer. Not out of spite, but because Chloe deserved the truth as much as I did. Consequences aren't revenge, they're reality. 2 weeks later, I got a call from a military attorney asking for clarification. I answered every question calmly, thoroughly. Honestly, that was enough. Chloe was reprimanded, demoted, pay docked, career stalled, permanently. Liam called me 6 times in a row the moment she told him. I didn't answer. For the first time in months, I smiled. And while my world got clearer, his was crumbling. Liam's bills piled up. His Audi got repossessed. The landlord evicted him 2 months later because he couldn't afford rent without me. He dropped out of his master's program, moved back to Ohio. His family, who once adored him, finally saw the cracks. And Chloe? Their soulmate destiny? It lasted 6 weeks. A relationship built on cheating doesn't survive reality. For the first time since the diagnosis, I felt like the universe wasn't punishing me. It was pruning me, cutting away what was killing me so something else could grow. Something better. Someone better. And I had no idea that someone would soon walk into my life wearing navy scrubs, holding a clipboard, and smiling like I deserved gentleness. But that comes later. For now, Liam's life was collapsing, and mine, slowly, painfully, was beginning again. The next few months of my life felt like moving through fog. Thick, heavy, unpredictable, but for the first time, the fog wasn't swallowing me whole. I had something resembling direction. And direction, however painful, was better than living in a collapsing house pretending it wasn't burning. The remission horizon. Chemo was hell. There's no poetic way to dress it up. It stripped the feeling from my fingers, stole my appetite, rearranged my sleep into miserable fragments, and left my reflection looking like a ghost I hardly recognized. But through it all, my scans kept showing progress. Your markers are dropping beautifully, the doctor said. Keep going. You're winning. Winning. Such a strange word to use in a battle I never signed up for. On the morning of my final chemo session, I sat in the treatment chair with a blanket over my knees, feeling that dull burning in my veins. And then, like he had every cycle, Grant walked in. The nurse with the soft voice. Grant wasn't like any nurse I'd ever met. He didn't hover. He didn't pity. He didn't talk to me like I was fragile glass. He treated me like a person, a whole person, not a diagnosis. He always made some terrible joke the moment he walked in, just to see if he could get me to crack a smile. Hey, Aura, he said that day, leaning on the IV pole. Ready for your final round? If cancer were a bad ex, this would be the last text you ever sent. I laughed through a tight throat. You really need new material. Absolutely not. These jokes are carefully calibrated medical-grade comedy. I rolled my eyes. It's criminal that you're allowed near patients. He grinned, and for a moment the room felt lighter. Grant wasn't traditionally handsome. He wasn't suave or dramatic or intense. He was steady, warm, kind. The kind of man who made space for your pain instead of adding to it. During my treatment cycles, he'd sit for a minute or two, never too long to cross boundaries, never too short to feel transactional. Got someone waiting for you at home? He asked once early on. No, I whispered. Someone who should be? He asked gently. Yes, I answered. He nodded like he understood everything I didn't say. He always seemed to understand what I didn't say. A new beginning in Nashville. After chemo ended, I felt like a wrung-out towel. Tired, empty, but finally clean. Jason helped me move into my new apartment near Germantown. Small, bright, with windows that let in too much sun. I liked it. It made me feel exposed in a good way, like I couldn't hide from my own life anymore. Then came the job interview with the pharmaceutical distributor. The company was organized, reasonable, and the work suited me perfectly. When they offered me the position with a higher salary and better benefits than my old job, I felt the kind of relief that almost hurt. Stability, independence, a future. Things I hadn't known I was starving for until I tasted them. Life without Liam. Meanwhile, Liam's life continued its free fall. My old coworker Mike sent me updates occasionally, never out of malice, just disbelief. Liam's car repossessed, his credit tanking, his landlord, sympathetic but firm, forcing him out. His master's program dropped, his parents exhausted with his excuses, and the piece that surprised absolutely no one. Chloe and Liam broke up after 6 weeks. Two people who bonded over betrayal rarely survive reality. The house of cards they called love fell apart as soon as bills, responsibility, and consequences entered the picture. I didn't celebrate it, I didn't mock it, I just observed it. It was simply the natural result of their choices that once tore me apart. Now, they barely moved the needle. The slow bloom of something new. About a month after my treatment ended, I found Grant's number saved in my phone, written on a sticky note he'd tucked discreetly into my discharge paperwork. If you ever want someone to show you the real Nashville, the kind with good food and even better company, text me. I stared at it for a long time. Was I ready? Was I whole enough? Was I healed enough to let someone in without bleeding on them? Eventually, I typed, "Is the offer still open?" Aura. His reply came 60 seconds later. "Absolutely. What are you in the mood for? Food? Coffee? Bad jokes? I have all three." First dinner. He took me to a small restaurant tucked behind a bookstore. Dim lights, soft jazz, quiet conversations. Not a fancy place, not a romantic place. An honest place. We talked about everything except my marriage, until he looked at me gently and asked, "Are you still in love with him, or are you mourning what you thought you had?" My breath caught. I hesitated, then answered the truth. I think I stopped loving him the moment he texted me that message. Everything after was me building a life he wasn't invited to anymore. Grant nodded. That's the answer I needed. "We're dating now, aren't we?" I asked, half teasing. "We are," he said softly, "if you want to." I did. Exhale. Time passed. I went to the gym again. Jason introduced me to new friends. Kevin visited with boxes I'd forgotten to pack, telling loud jokes and cooking terrible food. Life stitched itself back together. Not perfectly, not quickly, but honestly. Then one evening, 8 months after leaving Indianapolis, I sat on the balcony with a soda, watching the Nashville skyline glow like it was breathing. I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. Actual, soft, unobtrusive peace. Grant was on his way over. We had just signed a lease together. My life was moving forward. Bravely, quietly, unapologetically. Then, BZZT. The intercom rang. I smiled, expecting Grant's voice. I pressed the button. "Hey, babe." But it wasn't him. It was a voice I hadn't heard in months, a voice that used to make my stomach warm. Now it made my skin crawl. "Aura, it's me. Liam, please, I need to talk to you." My fingers froze. My breath caught. Somewhere deep inside me, a part of my past stepped out of its grave. For a long moment, I just stood there, my hand hovering over the intercom button, my heart pounding in a slow, heavy rhythm. Liam, of all people, of all nights. I should have ended it right there, should have said no, or leave, or try again in the next lifetime. But some part of me, the part that needed to witness the full collapse of what I once loved, whispered, "Let him up. Let him see who you are now. Let him see what he lost." So I pressed the button. "Come up." The hallway camera flickered, showing him trudging through the building with the defeated posture of someone who had nothing left to protect. The face of consequences. Liam looked destroyed. Not a little stressed, not tired. Destroyed. Clothes wrinkled. Hair unwashed. Dark circles deep enough to hold oceans. His backpack sagging, probably containing most of what he owned now. When I opened the door, he froze, staring at me like he didn't understand how I could look alive, glowing, stable. Like he expected me to be wilted, small, sick. He looked at my apartment. Warm lights, clean space, new furniture, plants in real ceramic pots, and his face crumpled. "You look good," he said quietly, almost in awe. I stepped aside. "You wanted 5 minutes. That's all you get." He entered like a man walking into a church he wasn't worthy of. The speech he practiced in the mirror. "Aura," he began, voice trembling. I've been trying to find you for months. I went back to the apartment and you were just gone. I left, I said simply. You told me you were choosing your ex. I respected your wishes. He winced. Aura, please, just listen. I messed up. I know that. I was confused. I didn't understand what I had until I lost it. Chloe was a mistake. I thought she was what I wanted, but she wasn't. You were. You are. My arms crossed on their own. Years of being small around him were gone. You left me during chemo, Liam. Let's not rewrite history. He flinched as if I slapped him. I know, and I regret it every day. I wake up sick thinking about it. I was scared and stupid and selfish. I've lost everything, Aura. My apartment, my car, my savings, my program. His voice cracked. My family barely talks to me. I stared at him silently. He inhaled shakily. And I need you. I need us. I know I don't deserve you, but please, please give me another chance. I can be better. I am better now. It was so earnest, so desperate, and so meaningless. The question that exposes everything. I have one question, I said. He swallowed. Okay, what exactly do I get out of taking you back? He blinked, genuinely confused. What do you mean? I mean, I said slowly, you're asking me to rebuild a marriage you shattered. What do I get in return? He stared at me, stunned by the idea that I deserved to benefit from my own life. You get me, he whispered, like it was obvious. I actually laughed. Soft, unbelieving laughter. You think you being in my life is a gift? He reddened. I didn't mean it like that. No, I said. You meant it exactly like that. The curtain falls. He stepped closer. Aura, I'm begging you. I can't do this without you. I'm drowning. BZZT. The intercom rang again. Sharp. Perfect timing. Liam jumped at the sound. I walked calmly to the panel. Pressed the button. Hey, babe, came Grant's warm voice. I'm downstairs. Want me to grab dessert on the way up? I smiled. Chocolate cake. The one you always pretend not to like. On it! Liam's face collapsed. You have a boyfriend? He whispered. Yes, I said. We're moving in together next month. What? How? It hasn't even been 8 months, I finished. Plenty of time for a man to abandon his wife during cancer, cheat with an ex, lie to everyone they know, get dumped, ruin his finances, move home, and then show up at her door to beg for help. His mouth opened, closed, opened again. Nothing came out. The final humiliation. Grant knocked. The door swung open. He took one look at Liam. The tears, the desperation, the misery, and instantly understood. Nurses have that superpower. Grant turned to me. You okay? I'm great, I said. Liam's voice cracked. She's prettier than me. Grant didn't miss a beat. I know. The silence that followed was devastating. Then, as if gently delivering a fatal blow, Grant smiled politely at Liam and said, Thank you. Liam blinked. For what? For leaving Aura, Grant said with a sincerity so gentle it sliced. If you hadn't thrown her away, I never would have met the love of my life. Liam's knees visibly weakened. And, Grant added with genuine concern, do you need gas money, or did you take the bus? We can help you get home if needed. I almost choked, holding in a laugh. Liam shook his head, humiliated to the bone. I should go, he whispered. Yes, I said, you should. He turned to me one last time, eyes pleading. You're really not going to help me? I met his gaze without a flicker of hesitation. No, Liam, not after everything. Because of everything. He left without another word. I closed the door, locked it, turned away from the past standing on my welcome mat. Epilogue, light. Grant slipped his arms around me from behind. You okay? He murmured. I leaned into him. She came to beg, I said. He did, he corrected gently. I smiled. He did. How did it feel? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Then answered. Better than I expected. He kissed my head. Good. Now let's go eat. You deserve something sweet. We walked out into the Nashville night. I didn't think about Liam at all. Not that night, not the next morning, not the day after. He had become exactly what he earned the right to be. Irrelevant.